Hey viewers and viewers, my name is General Red Strategist and welcome back to So You're Being Hunted. This is episode 321. We are back here for what should hopefully be the final episode now of the Literature Hunt 2.0. I say that, let's hope this obviously doesn't go on for too long. So in the last episode we actually made a start on wrapping things up. We read all of the books that we managed to accumulate, which is actually 100% of the books that you can get in this game. Now, of course, we're going to read the letters. So this is going to require us to obviously flick between this world and the other world that I created. So obviously we didn't find all the letters, but whilst I could try finding them all, I'm not going to do it because the problem is, I don't know, every time obviously you generate a world, even if you turn up the number of times, if you rather increase the number of villages and things that spawn, there's no guarantee that you'll get every letter. And you'll often get repeats of them, things like that. So the problem is that it potentially would take me an absolute age to find all the letters that are outstanding. So we're not going to bother, but I think we have probably enough to start piecing together the story. So obviously we've already had a few possible hints about things that happened in the backstory of the So You're Being Hunted world in the previous episode when we were reading over the books. So without further ado, we're going to take a look at the letters. So as promised, we're going to read all the letters that we have on this map first, and then I'll jump cut, transfer over to the other one, and we'll read the remaining letters. So there's a lot of reading for me in this episode, but without further ado, let's go. Letter 0. My dear A, it has come to my attention that something peculiar has been going on across the estate. The crude folk from our local village have been reporting that their scarecrows are watching them, and that there's something in the woods. I'm certain this is nothing more than local superstition and poppycock, but it's interesting that their blood is up. You know how these country types can get if they're not dealt a firm hand. It is my intention to send my man Dunbridge into the field with some scientific equipment. Perhaps he can find out more. Yours, Parsons. So, I find this letter kind of interesting because one of the books that we read in the previous episode, I think it was The Terrible Forests of the Universe, whatever it was, that kind of almost goes with this letter, talking about things in the woods and stuff like that, lights in the sky and all sorts of stuff. And obviously this one mentions scarecrows that are watching them, whereas that book I think also mentioned like the bog creature. So this could be something written at the time when the robots were first appearing in this world. That's what I'm thinking. And at the time maybe humans didn't fully understand the threat posed by them. So Parsons, I'm guessing, is maybe a local landowner, something like that. And A is a friend. That's what I'm guessing. And obviously Dunbridge is a character who I think is only named once, at least from all the letters I've gathered. I think this is the only time he's mentioned. So obviously he must be some kind of either another friend or maybe like a right-hand man to Parsons, something like that. I don't think these are important characters, though, to the backstory of this world. They're just secondary characters as far as I'm aware. Right, letter 1. Valued correspondent, it's our delight to inform you that your relative, a Mrs. Cakeshot of Longwell Ham, Colbury, has passed away, leaving you the sum of £12 and 17 pence only in her inheritance proclamation. Having deducted our own handling fee for your convenience, we've enclosed the £3 and 11 pence only, amount that you are now entitled to claim. Please provide us with a banker's draft for £5 and 19 pence, along with the exact details of your own state of health, countersigned by a doctor or lawyer, in order to claim this amount. If you do not claim, then our legal team will not be happy. This one, I'm not entirely sure about. I feel like this could just be another kind of humorous entry, and might not necessarily have anything to do with the robots. It might be something that happened before the invasion. I mean, I also had the thought that maybe this was one of those instances of the robots sending a letter to try and lure someone out, as some of the other letters we found appear to be. But I also had the thought that maybe this particular letter actually was sent, if that's the case, if this is written by a robot trying to lure someone out, maybe this was sent after the ones between Jasper and his father. You remember those ones? Because in the ones where the robots pretend to be Jasper's father, and there's another one as well actually, which is written in the same way, it's so clearly a robot who's written it, whereas this one, I don't know, it's less clear perhaps, it's more kind of natural, almost speech, kind of. So that makes me wonder, maybe as time progressed, the robots actually learned how to speak more like humans, and this is a reflection of that. Maybe this letter was sent after the other ones where it's clearly a robot writing it. So even though this is letter 1, maybe, I certainly think a lot of these letters are all out of kind of chronological order. That's what I'm thinking. So there's that one. Then we go obviously to letter 3. To whom it may concern, this correspondence has been targeted at all residents of the island with the specific intention of alerting you to the danger of strangers. If you encounter a stranger, please first ask them to make talk about the weather. If they are unable or unwilling to engage in such polite trade, then you must report them to the police immediately. All strangers must be registered with the local desk sergeant or face immediate dismemberment. A local magistrate has issued fines against several youths who failed to report a strange hanging about at the back of the old mill, so watch it. The Parish Security Club. Now this, again, could be nothing, it could just be a humorous entry, or it could actually be something that was written in the early stages of the robot's arrival, when humans were starting to become aware that something was out there in the woods, loitering about, something potentially troublesome. That's what I'm thinking. Let's see that. You'll notice I've got my pumpkins back. It's because I didn't actually save after the previous episode. I basically just quit out the game to check the footage and then reloaded. Hence, this is actually an earlier save. Next one, letter 4. Okay, so this is these characters again. Dearest A, I'm afraid my man never returned from the woods. In fact, no one who has left Paulgrove Manor has reappeared, and I now find myself quite alone. Even the cook seems to have vanished, and it's only by virtue of these messenger birds that I'm able to keep in contact with you in London. I fear something fell is afoot in the island. I went for a walk this morning. I didn't even see any of the local poor people doing their usual frolicking or collecting of things from the ground. Perhaps something has happened to them too. I'm running out of pipe tobacco and the boiler is an arcane mystery to me. Parsons. So again, these are secondary characters. And so by this stage, I imagine Dunbridge has gone missing when he was sent to do scientific observations in the woods. And by this stage, judging by what's written, there's a lot of other people who are missing as well. Parsons seems to be the only one. So it looks like at this stage the robots are potentially, if that's correct, starting to kill people, or at least spirit them away, something like that. Okay, letter 5. Oh, Parsons, it does seem as if there's good reason for concern. Not only was your messenger bird maimed on arrival, but also I've had terrible dreams, where something mechanical stalked the fields, and took the hats of gentlemen from their ripening corpses. Could my psychic disposition be making itself known once again? Perhaps the pills provided by Dr. Fabenholt can no longer suppress the power of messages from the other side. Also, I fear I may have had too much sherry, as I am unable to rise from the chair in which I write this note. They say it is gout season. Perhaps the butler will find me. A. So, this is a peculiar one. I think this one definitely takes place after letter 4, because in this one, Parsons mentions that he is using messenger birds, and this one mentions messenger birds. So, by this stage, it sounds like A, who I think was mentioned as being in London. It sounds like maybe in this kind of alternate universe, the robots haven't yet reached London. They're just in the countryside, killing the humans. Who knows, maybe at some later point they eventually reached the city. Okay, next one, letter 7. Okay, this is one of the ones I meant when I said before that you can tell which ones are written by the robots. Humans, we come in peace, we are not foreign or in any way threatening. Please talk with us about the weather and other things which make you feel comfortable. There is no danger of you being destroyed. It is important for you to realise that none of the people you know who have been destroyed were in any way destroyed by us or related forces. Any destruction to persons resident on these islands is purely coincidental to our recent appearance. Unthreatening gentlemen. So, it's just actually occurred to me as well, they mentioned the weather in this one, the robots, which makes me wonder if they witnessed that earlier one. What was it? What was the parish? This one, the Parish Security Club. Because this one mentions that to determine who's a stranger, ask them to make talk about the weather. So maybe this is the sign that the robots are actually learning, and even if they've not yet perfected how to sound like a human, they're certainly learning. So this would suggest that letter 7 definitely takes place after that last one from the Parish Security Club, after letter 3, whatever it was. Yeah, it's letter 3, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, next one. Letter 10. To the resident. You're receiving this letter because you've fallen behind in your water registration. If you wish to continue receiving water, then you must prove that you are not able to collect water for yourself from a nearby pump or standing water source, such as a lake or ditch. You are required to attend a mandatory water fetching evaluation session, which will begin at 6 a.m. on the 3rd of February at Hacklespry Home. Please bring your certificate of Britishness with you to avoid slowing down the documentation process. Please note, you will be subject to spot checks by an untrained intern. Now, this actually could be similar to the one about Mrs. Cakeshot, or whatever she was called. Hang on, which was it, letter 2? The one about the inheritance from Mrs. Cakeshot. So I'm wondering if there's a similarity here. Is this one that's also been written by a robot, but much, much later, when the robots are learning how to talk more and more like humans? That could be the case, if that's correct. So that's what I feel. Letter 11. Now, this is an important one. This is Dr. Hodgman, this is Barmstick. So, these two, there's a few letters back and forth between these characters, and there might well be more that I've not been able to find in this literature hunt. But from what my understanding of the backstory is, these two might be particularly important. So, dear Dr. Hodgman, I'm writing in the hope that we might be able to strike up a correspondence. My late wife, Clove Barmstick, had long been in awe of your studies into stone circles of Browswick, Ketterton and Spaldwent. She believed quite sincerely, as you do, that these circles had deeper power and meaning than historians and Oxford eggheads will grant them. I have to admit that I thought it entirely confabulated too until this past winter. You see, I live near a similar circle and I've seen things. Yes. You must write and tell me whether you wish to learn more. Sincerely, Globe Barmstick. So, this is possibly the first instance of correspondence between these two characters, from what I recall. So this is Barmstick getting in contact with Dr. Hodgman about the stone circles. Stone circles, of course, are important, as we'll later find out more. Okay, that's the one. So this one was letter 16. Barmstick. Oh, how cold my blood ran when I saw you write of Langridge. That rotter. He will ruin everything with his haughty meddling. There is nothing I loathe more than his groomed face and eager eyes. He will be the death of all good learning in the years to come. I must escape this place if we are to defeat him. I have sent instructions for some tests you might run at Stone Circle, so that we might get a head start. In the meantime, I shall execute my escape plan. The guards here are easily tricked by gossip and hypnotism. I shall be with you on the island by Easter. Dr. H. So Hodgman, basically. Okay, so this I don't think is the immediate reply to Barmstick's first letter, because I think we did find another one from Dr. Hodgman, but this also mentions a character called Langridge, a rival, perhaps a scientific rival, who also intends to, well, I'm not sure, who is maybe intending to do some kind of experimentation with the stone circles. So Dr. Hodgman says to Barmstick, we need to get the head start before he does, and maybe do experiments of our own. And I think this could be significant. So that's letter 16, yes. Letter 17. Okay, this is another one that is probably written by a robot. Hello, sir or madam. We have calculated that you are due a tax rebate of several thousand increments of human arbitrary value. To collect your value and a special and completely harmless prize, please report to the deracination facility on Jaw Hill. The murder colonel will meet you at the door with tea and biscuits, which contain no poison at all. Failure to respond to this letter will not harm your chances of being treated fairly come the robotic revolution. Yes, so again, something written when the robots was kind of still learning about how humans actually talk, something like that. Okay, letter 18. Humans, free and edible flesh is available from our local representatives. Simply approach any of our friendly staff to collect your complimentary slice of a dead animal, which you may eat to satiate your biological needs. Please note that you will not be destroyed when collecting this free flesh sample. That absolutely isn't going to happen. We also have some mints. So again, same as the previous one. Letter 19. Again, this is the same as the previous two. Good morning, this is a polite notice. Please put yourself out tomorrow morning for collection. Our friendly teams will move you to a more suitable location and clean your current dwelling using their special equipment. Any humans caught avoiding disposal will be offered a questionnaire before being asked to visit one of our dedicated human pandering facilities, where they will not be destroyed or incinerated. Ignoring this notice is considered quite rude and we will be upset. Again, robots trying to lure people out. Right. Letter 20. Okay, this is Jasper and Father, the first of these. Father, it's been several weeks since I last heard from you or Mother, and I'm beginning to worry. Perhaps you can get in touch and let me know that you are okay. I've just moved into a new flat in Swansea, and the promotion has enabled me to purchase a 1970s dilemma hatchback. You'd like it, although it has the same design flaws as the Trooper Manors 500, which we used to visit the Dales in. If it's not too much trouble, I'd like to visit again for the bank holiday, and I promise I won't touch Mother's teapot collection. I've entirely grown out of that phase. Your loving son, Jasper. So, I think this is the first of the letters between Jasper and his quote-unquote father, who is actually a robot masquerading as his father. Was the next one also them? Yes, okay. So this is the reply, I think, to that letter. Human name Jasper, this is your father and not a machine. I am replying to your paper message in order to insist on your return to home address. Do not be alarmed by the lack of villagers, they are all on holiday. They got a cheap package deal and it is nice in Spain at this point in the cycle around the sun. Please return home unarmed. You are in no danger of being destroyed. Please eat this letter after reading. Your digestive juices will conceal any evidence. Your dad. So that's the reply. Okay, so that's all the letters that we found on this island. So what I'm going to do now, of course, is transfer across to my other map where I had another 2 or 3 letters, and we'll read those ones. So see you in a second, everybody. Okay, right, we're back in, and we are now on the other map that I created. So I had 3 letters on here. So this will be the final 3 that I read, and then the Literature Hunt 2.0 will officially be done and dusted with. So, let's see what we got. So we have letter 22. So this is Jasper's reply to Father, quote-unquote. Father, I received your reply and have to say that it worried me a bit. I have eaten the letter as you requested, but I am still worried about you signing off as Dad. You've always said that such sentimental names are for softies and foreigners, which can only lead me to think you are having a crisis. If it's because of something I've done, then please forgive me. I've worked really hard to be the kind of son you can be proud of, and I've even grown a moustache so that I can carry on the family tradition, like you and Uncle Robert. I'll come home as soon as I can. Your loving son, Jasper. So Jasper is a little bit innocent, isn't he? And clearly doesn't see what's wrong with that. Okay, so letter 13. Okay, so this is another Dr. Hodgman Barmstick one. Hold on. What was the other one then? Okay, this is letter 14. Okay, right. So, we'll read, this one first. Dear Dr. Hodgman, I know now that you are not mad. I have seen with my own eyes the things which you claimed must be possible. I am no fool, however, and I am certain that I will not be able to convince the authorities of your sanity without solid evidence. I am no scientist, of course, but perhaps I could carry out the experiments as per your instructions, and then write again to you with the data gathered. I am keen that the world should know of the danger these ancient monuments pose. If I can serve your noble quest in any way, then I will do so. Please instruct me accordingly, Barmstick. So at this point, I think Dr. Hodgman is still... So here's the thing, right? In other So You're Being Hunted challenges that I've played, where I've found letters, I'm sure I've seen one which was written by Dr. Hodgman where he says, you can't have failed to notice the address to which you're writing to, Barmstick. This is an asylum that you're writing to. I'm locked in an asylum. So, if I'm remembering that correctly, then at this stage, Hodgman is still in the asylum, something like that. But they, of course, refer to a breakout. Okay, so this is Hodgman replying to Barmstick. Mr. Barmstick, before we agree on a course of action, I must be sure to warn you of the danger you face. These stone circles do, I believe, allow those who understand their workings to access what physicists call the overlap effect. Did I say that right? Physicists? It is quite difficult for me to explain this effect without my chalkboard and props, but let me try. The stone circle is like an engine, which might drag our world close to the fabric of another. Impossible? You might think so. Magic? It certainly seems so to men of small intellect. But this is science, Barmstick, science as God intended it, and the possibilities of this are sinister. So that is the final letter that we found as part of this Literature Hunt 2.0. Now, like I say, there are other letters and things which I have encountered, I'm sure of it, in past challenges, things like that, which I didn't find on either of these 2 maps, but which I can vaguely remember. And from what I recall, I am pretty sure that Barmstick and Hodgman, the reason they're so significant is because they were doing experiments on the stone circles in this world, presumably. And they talk about the overlap effect, which I'm guessing is precisely basically what Hodgman is saying in there. It's the thing that enables worlds to overlap, and thus people in one world to transfer across into another one. And this is my kind of hypothesis. My hypothesis is that Barmstick and Hodgman did some kind of experiment on one of the stone circles in their rush to beat the rival language, and possibly in doing so they activated the overlap effect, and that is possibly what enabled the robots to come through from another world, something like that. Because you see, the question I raised in the previous episode was, were the robots kind of born in this world, or did they come from another one? And my tentative hypothesis is that the robots were not originally of this world in which we find ourselves. They come from one of their own, and our character, who we play as, he or she, depending on whether you're playing as Sir or Madam, they come from an entirely different world of their own. So that's what I'm thinking. So who knows? I'm not entirely sure. But that's my tentative hypothesis, and that's what I think the backstory of the Sir world actually is. I'm sure maybe somewhere out there somebody has found and perhaps, I don't know, screenshotted all of the different letters. I'm pretty sure there might be a guide actually on the Steam community, so I may actually go and have a look at that between episodes. But other than that, we're going to wrap up here. So this was the Literature Hunt 2.0, ladies and gentlemen, of Sir You're Being Hunted. We found every single book that there is to find in the game, and we did find quite a few of the letters, even if we didn't get all of them. But like I say, what I might actually do, is go onto the Steam community and see if I can find that guide that I'm pretty sure exists, which does actually list all of the books and letters, and it might have screenshots of every letter actually on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a look at that if it's there, if I can find it, and fill in the letters that I didn't find, and in either the next video or maybe a future one at some point, I'll perhaps talk about the letters that I didn't manage to find and see if perhaps they back up the conclusion that I reached. So yeah, hope you'll join me for that. So obviously next episode, with the Literature Hunt now over, we'll be going on to something new, a new challenge. I have some ideas in mind for things that sound relatively interesting. So I hope you'll join me for that. In the meantime, of course, Facebook and Twitter links down below, along with a link to my propagandist channel for anyone who is interested. Of course, if you enjoyed, you must leave a like, you must comment, you must subscribe, you must share my content with your friends on social media. This is not a choice, ladies and gentlemen. You have to do it, it's a command, and if you don't, I'm going to put strong laxatives in your food. Goodbye, everybody. I feel like if I have you with me, I'll be able to find what I'm looking for. When she said that, she maintained a normal composed attitude, but earlier, for just a second, I thought I spotted an instance, of emotion. And I don't think I was imagining it when her cheeks showed just a hint of red. Can I maybe get a quick peek behind the mask and get a glimpse of her real feelings?
Hey.
Why'd you remain silent? Do you have an answer for me? Yes. Oh, yeah, that's Makoto. Yes, I look forward to working with you, you lovable old bugger.
Indeed.
I took Kyoko's glove nouns in mind, and someday I'd like to find out what's under these gloves. I couldn't predict where my connection with Kyoko would lead me. It was impossible to say, but what I did know is that I had the unwavering desire to find out. Hey, got her underpants as well. Nice.